amidst the cruel act of burning Anna, a condemned witch, at the stake for allegedly cursing King Fernando. She unexpectedly gave birth to a child. However, before anyone could react, a demonic knight appeared and whisked away both the infant and the soul of the witch. Despite the immediate efforts of the king's army, the demon knight and the baby seemed to vanish without a trace, as if they had been erased from existence itself. As time went on, it is revealed that King Fernando, after recovering from his illness, heeded the counsel of his advisor Mendoza and launched a widespread witch hunt throughout the kingdom. Following the failed assassination attempt on Mendoza, Warlock Guillermo met his demise through execution. Unfortunately, this event set a dark precedent, as a relentless wave of executions unfolded, claiming the lives of over 100 witches and warlocks within a single year. The merciless hunts cast a shadow over the kingdom of Valiant, impacting its populace in profound ways. Trust eroded, replaced by suspicion, as fingers were pointed and accusations flew among the fearful hearts of the people. Under the guise of witch hunting, the kingdom of Valiant dispatched its armies to surrounding cities, solidifying its hold and expanding its power. Among the territories claimed by Valiant was a place called Leyden, which had fallen under their domain approximately a year prior. The scene transitions to a man named German Lewis, who confides in a prostitute, shedding light on a different perspective of the ongoing events. According to German, the so-called witches are actually individuals entrusted with the responsibility of sealing away demons. They possess unique abilities that surpass those of ordinary priests, who are ill-equipped to handle such supernatural creatures. Meanwhile, Mendoza receives a report regarding the presence of a father and child engaging in peculiar practices near the outskirts of Leyden. Mendoza suspects that the child is the same boy who was once saved by the demon knight 17 years ago and promptly dispatches his men to capture them. Suddenly, the prostitute undergoes a transformation, revealing herself to be a creature known as a horror. German, unveiling his true identity as the Silver Mackay Knight, the guardian of humanity against horrors, swiftly neutralizes the threat by sealing away the horror. He reveals that he's the same knight who saved his son Leon Lewis as Anna was burned. The scene transitions to Leon, who comes under attack by Mendoza's henchmen. In the face of danger, Leon undergoes a transformation, assuming the powerful form of the Golden Knight Garo. One of Mendoza's men also undergoes a horrifying transformation, becoming a horror. However, Leon swiftly defeats the transformed man and seals away the horror. Following their victory, German and Leon make the decision to journey to Valiant, driven by their desire to seek vengeance for Anna's death. Meanwhile, within the kingdom, the citizens celebrate the birthday of Prince Alfonso, who is destined to become the future king. Upon meeting Garm, the authoritative figure responsible for granting authorization to the Mackay Knights, German learns a startling revelation. Garm discloses that Mendoza, who was once highly supported by the council, is a Mackay priest. This revelation deepens German's suspicions regarding Mendoza's true intentions. Meanwhile, Octavia informs Mendoza of a significant fact. Prince Alfonso is descended from the Garo lineage, a powerful line of Mackay knights. Filled with anger and a desire to eliminate any potential threats, Mendoza decides to take action against Alfonso. In the midst of these developments, German comes to the conclusion that Mendoza may be controlling the increasing number of horrors, whose presence has become unusually prominent. Garm, acknowledging the threat, instructs German to eliminate the horrors and, if necessary, to confront and eliminate Mendoza himself. German, observing his son Leon struggling to control his fiery Mackay markings, offers him guidance. He advises Leon to calm himself and find a way to cool down. The scene intensifies as Mendoza's treachery unfolds, with him accusing the queen of poisoning the king and challenging Prince Alfonso's legitimacy as the true heir. Using these accusations as a means to seize power, he orders his men to arrest the queen and consolidate his control over the kingdom. Meanwhile, German reveals to Leon that he inherited the Garo armor from his mother, explaining why only he is capable of summoning its power. As they journey towards Valiant, Leon's attention is drawn to a suspicious alley where a priest enters, sparking his curiosity. Inside the alley, they discover the captured Mackay priest, Ima Guzman, being held by the priest. Sensing danger, German and Leon come to Ima's rescue. However, the priest transforms into a horror, initiating a fierce battle. Ima joins the fight to aid Leon, but the traumatic memories of his mother's death resurface, causing him to lose control of his powers. With Leon overcome by his emotions and losing control of his power, the priest seizes the opportunity to escape. However, Emma swiftly takes action and eliminates the priest, ensuring he can no longer pose a threat. Meanwhile, German's calming presence helps Leon regain his composure and brings him back to his senses. Back at the castle, Mendoza carries out his nefarious plan and imprisons the queen, aiming to consolidate his own power. However, Prince Alfonso manages to slip away undetected, determined to challenge Mendoza and rescue his mother. Receiving an important message from the Watchdog Center, German and Leon learn that the completion of the Zaruba ring is imminent. Recognizing the significance of this artifact, German decides it is time for Leon to obtain the ring from Mackay priest Gale. The ring holds the power to help Leon control his fiery markings and become a fully realized Golden Knight. As they discuss their plans, their conversation is interrupted by Emma, who shares information about the esteemed reputation of Priest Gale. However, Leon's impatience gets the better of him, and he abruptly leaves the table. Undeterred, German and Leon set off the following day, determined to retrieve the Zaruba ring and unlock Leon's true potential as the Golden Knight. The scene then shifts to Gale, who despite his old age swears to restore the Zaruba ring. He decides to take a short break and orders his apprentice Marcelo to clean up the rest. German and Leon stand outside Gale's cave, but Marcelo accidentally activates the traps, thinking they are horrors. Startled by the sudden commotion, Gale quickly identifies German and scolds Marcelo for his reckless behavior. In a flashback, it is revealed that German had requested Gale's help in repairing the Madu ring Zaruba. The ring, along with the armor of the Golden Knight, was inherited by Anna. Returning to the present, Gale assures Leon that Zaruba will guide and control the flames within him, leading him down the right path as a fully fledged Golden Knight. Gale leaves to perform the final restoration, unaware of Marcelo's impending betrayal. Consumed by the power of the ring, Marcelo turns on his master, attacking and killing Gale. Seizing the opportunity, he steals the ring and attempts to make his escape. However, his flight is interrupted when he unexpectedly encounters Emma. Emma, realizing the danger Marcelo poses, tries to apprehend him, but Marcelo's desperation leads him to transform into a horror, gaining the upper hand and luring Emma away from the scene. Meanwhile, German and Leon, alerted by the commotion, rush to the location. They arrive to find Marcelo lying on the ground, fabricating a false story, claiming that Emma is responsible for Gale's death and has stolen the ring. Leon rushes to find Emma, who reveals the truth about Marcelo's betrayal and Gale's death. In the midst of their conversation, Marcelo's attempts to form a contract with Zaruba prove futile, as German explains that only the true bearer of the Golden Knight's power can establish a bond with the legendary Madu ring. Fueled by rage and desperation, Marcelo transforms into a horror, but this time Leon effortlessly defeats him, putting an end to his treachery. With Marcelo defeated, Leon successfully forms a contract with Zaruba, solidifying his role as the Golden Knight. Afterwards, Emma seals Gale's cave to protect his belongings from falling into the wrong hands. She bids farewell to Leon and German, setting off on her own path to Santa Bard. The scene then shifts to Prince Alfonso, who finds himself surrounded by a group of horrors. Just as all hope seems lost, an unknown Mackay knight mysteriously appears, coming to the prince's aid. German and Leon come to Awa's rescue, putting a stop to the older kids who are bullying him. The bullies accuse Awa's mother, Orlaia, of being a witch and blame her for the village's supposed curse. Unconvinced by these claims, German and Leon decide to visit Orlaia's house to find out the truth for themselves. Inside the house, they are greeted by Orlaia, a beautiful and enigmatic widow. German is immediately intrigued by her and senses that there is more to her story than meets the eye. He realizes that Orlaia is an innocent woman caught in the midst of the village's fear and superstitions. Over dinner, she reveals the tragic fate of her husband, who was unjustly attacked and killed by the village chief and his men. The chief arrives at Orlaia's house, accusing her and her son of being responsible for the recent disappearances in the village. He orders his men to arrest them, but thanks to German's quick thinking, Awa manages to escape. As the chief prepares to harm Orlaia, a fire breaks out in his own house, distracting him. Seizing the opportunity, German swiftly rescues Orlaia from harm. The chief and the other villagers arrive on the scene, and to everyone's surprise, he declares that all suspicions against Orlaia have been cleared. It seems that the fire has shifted his perspective, leading him to release her from blame. Meanwhile, Leon discovers a shocking truth. He realizes that the wooden doll carried by Awa is actually a vessel containing a horror, a malevolent creature responsible for the deaths in the village. He learns that Awa had used the horror to exact revenge on all those who took part in his father's murder. With Leon's, he defeats and destroys the horror and saves Awa. The next day, Orlaia and Alwa decide to leave the village, escaping the trouble caused by the village chief and his followers. Meanwhile, the village chief and his followers are caught by the authorities and taken away. The Makai knight who saved Alfonso informs him about the horrors. He reveals that they are creatures that live in darkness and consume humans. Furthermore, he reveals that Mendoza is using a forbidden Madu tool to control them as he wishes, and his ultimate goal is to rule over the kingdom of Valiant. Alfonso learns that his savior is Rafael Banderas, a friend of the late Golden Knight. Later on, Rafael reveals that long ago, people knew about the horrors that appeared from Makai and consumed humans, as well as the Makai knights and priests who fought against them. However, all that has been forgotten now, and the ones who fight against the horrors are labeled as witches and persecuted. The Makai knights and priests aren't allowed to harm humans, which is the reason why they've been unable to fight back. Surprisingly, Rafael informs Alfonso that the blood of the Golden Knight Garo runs through his veins. Alfonso learns that his mother, Esmeralda, is the younger sister of Anna, the witch who was burned. Anna had the duty to fight as a Makai priest and pass down the golden armor through her bloodline. However, Esmeralda was adopted by aristocrats soon after birth in order to live a life away from battle. She knew nothing of horrors or her own birth, and the only ones who knew were his father and Rafael himself. Afterwards, Rafael takes Alfonso to visit Count Romero of Valdona. Upon their arrival, Rafael reveals that the Count is no longer human and advises Alfonso to be cautious. As they enter the castle, they encounter a soldier who transforms into a horror, but Rafael easily kills him. Later on, they witness a giant slug-like horror that attempts to eat Count Romero. Out of anger, Alfonso attacks it, but nothing happens. Unfortunately, the horror eats Count Romero, and Rafael transforms into Gaia, the stronghold Makai knight. Then, he effortlessly destroys the horror and rescues a woman with an infant. In the aftermath, Alfonso requests Rafael to teach everything he knows, and Rafi agrees to take him as his disciple. On the other hand, Leon and German continue their journey towards Santa Bard. Leon and German arrive back in the city of Santa Bard, a place filled with memories of Anna's tragic death. Understanding the importance of gathering information, German suggests that they split up to cover more ground. Meanwhile, a group of soldiers from the castle makes their way to the blacksmith, Jordi. They bring him a sword, which once belonged to his son Sergi. Shortly after being left alone with the possessed sword, Jordi realizes the dark presence within it. Unfortunately, the sword's power overwhelms him, and he becomes under its control. Later, German encounters Jordi and his adopted son, Giulio, unaware of the sword's possession. In another part of the city, Leon finds himself in a predicament as a persistent lady shopkeeper insists on him trying her cheese. Then, she begins seducing him. However, Emma arrives just in time to rescue him from the awkward situation. Later on, Leon confides in Emma about his virginity, and she teases him playfully. This causes him to become angry and frustrated. Recognizing his emotional state, Emma advises him that allowing unnecessary anger to consume him will hinder his judgment and perception of important matters. She further advises him to mature and develop into a responsible adult in all aspects of life. With her words of wisdom shared, Emma departs, leaving Leon to reflect on her guidance. The scene then shifts to German having a drink with Jordi, the blacksmith. It is revealed that Jordi isn't just a skilled blacksmith, he's also served in the municipal council in the past. Afterwards, Jordi reveals that a little while ago, the head of the army died in an accident. After that, a new knight arrived to take his place who wore black armor from head to toe. The people began calling him the Black Knight, and he created a knighthood within the castle. They're a group of knights wearing black armor called the Knighthood of Black. In order to strengthen the new system, the knighthood began recruiting new soldiers through a ruthless method, and his son Sergi is also a part of it. Suddenly, Jordi begins feeling dizzy and bids farewell to German. The next day, Giulio tells Leon that he was an orphan, but Jordi took him in. Later, they encounter a German standing outside the blacksmith shop, and Giulio invites him for dinner. During dinner, German and Leon begin an argument that frustrates Jordi. He becomes furious and tells them to leave. Later, Giulio informs them that Sergi isn't alive. He took the test of knighthood and died. Only the sword Jordi made for him returned, and he's been weird since the day he received the sword. On the other hand, Jordi transforms into a huge horror, but German swiftly kills him without any hesitation. The inn owners mistakenly believe that Leon is Prince Alfonso in disguise, hiding his true identity. They inform the Black Knights, who are a group of soldiers, about his presence. The Black Knights then raid the inn in an attempt to capture Leon. However, Leon manages to evade them for a while, using his skills to stay out of their grasp. As the situation escalates, Leon finds himself surrounded by a group of black knights who transform into terrifying horrors. Despite the odds stacked against him, Leon fights valiantly and manages to defeat all of the transformed knights. However, the leader of the Black Knights, who is revealed to be a Makai Knight, arrives and engages in a fierce battle with Leon. This formidable opponent, known as the Dark Knight, transforms into a powerful entity. In response, Leon taps into his own power and transforms into the Golden Knight, ready to face the Dark Knight. Unfortunately, the Dark Knight proves to be too strong and overwhelms Leon, leaving him on the brink of defeat. Just when all hope seems lost, Ima arrives just in time to rescue him from the Dark Knight's clutches. However, the impact of the attack sends Leon flying and he loses consciousness. When he finally awakens, he finds himself in the home of a kind villager. Confused and disoriented, he meets an old man and a young girl named Agatha, who address him as Pepe. It is then that Leon realizes with a shock that he has lost his memory, unable to recall his true identity. Suddenly, a harlequin from the church arrives to visit Agatha and the old man. Leon is instructed to accompany them, and they make their way to the almshouse of the church, where the priest welcomes the children. Agatha is delighted, mistaking Leon for her brother Pepe, but Leon is still perplexed and uncertain about his true identity. In the almshouse, Leon comes across a nun from the church and inquires about who Pepe is. The nun explains that she saved Pepe's life by arranging for traveling entertainers to bring him to the almshouse, which is exclusively meant for the children of Lograja. Leon, however, struggles to recollect any memories, and the nun departs, leaving him in a state of confusion. As night falls, the true identity of the harlequin is revealed. He is the real Pepe, and Leon's memories suddenly begin to resurface. With his memories restored, Leon confronts the old man and demands the truth. The old man confesses to administering a potion known as the Potion of Dreams to Leon, a medicine that temporarily erases memories and places a person in a hypnotic dreamlike state. Pepe arrives at the church and confronts the head priest, seeking answers and perhaps revenge. Meanwhile, the old man reveals the tragic backstory of Agatha, explaining that she is the daughter of his dear friend. After her mother's remarriage to a barber, Agatha formed a strong bond with her stepbrother Pepe. However, their lives took a grim turn when rumors of the barber being a werewolf began circulating. Vigilantes seized the opportunity and murdered both husband and wife. Pepe managed to hide Agatha on the roof, but he was captured by traveling entertainers and sold as a slave. In the meantime, the old man took Agatha under his care. The scene shifts to the church, where Pepe confronts and kills the head priest, taking 4 children with him. Amid the chaos, one of the children attempts to escape, but Leon arrives just in time to rescue him. A flashback reveals the harrowing past of Pepe, who endured relentless abuse while aboard the slave ship. One day, driven by guilt and anger, he took a dagger and killed his abuser, but the overwhelming guilt transformed him into a horror. Leon, donning the Golden Knight Garo armor, engages in a fierce battle with Pepe, ultimately defeating and slaying him. Afterwards, Leon reunites with German, who informs him that he has been stripped of all his possessions. It is revealed that after splitting from Leon, German saves a beautiful girl named Irene who is being chased by a group of bandits. Later on, he takes her to an abandoned stable, where she offers him anything he wishes in exchange for saving her life. Taking advantage of his perverted nature, German removes his clothes, but the bandits arrive and Irene is revealed to be a part of their group. German realizes that he was betrayed as Irene takes all of his belongings, including his clothes. Fortunately, the German manages to run away naked but catches the attention of all the soldiers. He tries to steal a bedsheet in order to cover himself, but one of the soldiers accidentally shoots a beautiful girl named Zymna. However, German intervenes and saves her. Then, he runs away and encounters Ima, who luckily saves him from the soldiers. Later on, Ima informs German that last night Leon was attacked by Bernardo Dion, the Black Knight. However, Leon managed to barely escape with his life. German thanks Ima for saving his boy and visits Garm. Garm tells him that Bernardo is now a bona fide Black Knight. In a flashback, it is revealed that Bernardo and German were good friends back when they were training to be Makai Knights. However, one day, they were being chased by the soldiers and Bernardo risked his life to save him and Anna. In the present, German again encounters Irene who tries to attack him. She reveals that Donata, one of the bandits, has turned into a horror and requests German to save her life. Consequently, German effortlessly kills Donata and spends the night with Irene. The next morning, he wakes up naked and again fails to find his clothes. Then, he meets Leon and tells him he has been stripped of all his possessions. Alfonso's rigorous training to become a Makai Knight continues under the guidance of his mentor, Raphael. Seeking a formidable challenge to test Alfonso's skills, Raphael pays a visit to Garm, the guardian of the Mackay Knight's authorization. He confides in her about his search for a powerful horror to serve as Alfonso's final trial. Garm, well versed in the horrors that lurk in the shadows, suggests the Chimera of Orphan as a suitable adversary. The mere mention of its name invokes fear and dread among humans. Known for its destructive path along the old highway called Orphan, the Chimera devours entire villages and towns, adorning its body with the remains of its victims. Legends abound about brave souls who attempted to hunt the Chimera, but none have returned, leaving behind only tales of its formidable strength and grisly trophies. Intrigued by the challenge, Raphael selects the Chimera of Orphan as the ultimate trial for Alfonso's training. Meanwhile, Leon, seeking to strengthen himself further, visits Garm, seeking her guidance and a powerful horror to aid in his own training. Aware of his determination, Garm considers his request, understanding the weight of his ambitions. In a separate encounter, Raphael shares the news of Alfonso's upcoming trial, leaving him surprised yet determined to prove himself worthy of the mantle of a Mackay Knight. The scene then shifts to Leon, who decides to embark on his own quest to hunt down the fearsome Chimera of Orphan. Recognizing the challenge it poses as an opportunity to test his mettle and grow even stronger. The following day, Raphael shares with Alfonso the significance of his impending trial. If he successfully overcomes it, he will be deemed worthy to don the prestigious armor of a Mackay Knight. However, Raphael informs Alfonso that he will not accompany him on this journey, allowing him to face the trial alone. Meanwhile, Leon crosses paths with Alfonso and comes to his aid, rescuing him from falling victim to a deceptive business scheme. Their chance encounter strengthens their bond and camaraderie. The next day arrives, and Leon and Alfonso find themselves facing the formidable Chimera of Orphan, encased within a moving mausoleum. With synchronized efforts, they launch an assault on the powerful horror. However, its overwhelming strength proves too much for them, forcing them to retreat. In a moment of desperation, Leon takes on his Golden Knight form and engages the horror in a fierce battle, but his efforts prove futile. Just as the situation seems dire, a weakened Raphael arrives, transforming into a Mackay Knight to join the fray. Utilizing the last remnants of his power, Raphael creates an opening for Alfonso, passing down his Gaia armor to him. Tragically, the horror takes advantage of Raphael's vulnerability and claims his life. Filled with a surge of determination and rage, Alfonso undergoes his transformation, donning the armor of a Mackay Knight. Empowered by his newfound strength, he confronts the horror with unwavering resolve, ultimately emerging victorious over the fearsome foe. The trial, fraught with sacrifice and loss, proves to be a pivotal moment in Alfonso's journey as he realizes his true potential as a Mackay Knight and honors the memory of his fallen mentor. Leon informs Alfonso that his only goal is to eliminate Mendoza and the horrors. Since both share the same ultimate goal, they decide to join forces. Later on, Alfonso meets Emma and German. German is surprised to learn that Leon has a cousin and departs to engage in meditation. Furthermore, Alfonso reveals that the castle of Santa Bard is built on top of an old temple. The eastern cliff still holds an entrance to the temple, and there is a secret path that connects the temple, a royal escape route known only to a select few. Alfonso suggests using that path to infiltrate the castle. On the other hand, Mendoza feels relieved upon learning that Raphael has finally met his demise. In a flashback, it is revealed that Mendoza created a Madu tool that granted him the power to control the horrors. However, he was excommunicated for the vile use of human blood in his experiments. Mendoza despised protecting humans and considered them lowly beings who should be willing to bleed for his benefit. Consequently, he was marked as a traitor and exiled from the council as punishment for his sins. Afterwards, Mendoza became a wanderer and developed an immense amount of hatred towards the Mackay Knights. Fortunately, the king discovered Mendoza when his medicine proved effective against an epidemic that was ravaging Santa Bard. Mendoza disguised himself as a traveling monk, and the king welcomed him as a counselor. Subsequently, Mendoza married Angelina, the oldest daughter of Count Castilla. However, when their child was born, he bore the same cursed markings as Mendoza himself. Filled with anger, Mendoza murdered his own family to intensify his hatred for the Mackay order. The scene then shifts to the present, where Leon, Alfonso, and German embark on their journey to infiltrate the castle of Santa Bard. Prior to their departure, Emma reveals that the marks on Leon's body are quite dangerous. While they offer him protection, they also possess the potential to consume him. Later on, Alfonso, Leon, and German reach the entrance to the temple. Furthermore, Alfonso discloses that his mother is held captive in the prison tower. However, he cannot help her at the moment, as his priority is to save Valiant. On the other hand, Esmeralda learns that Mendoza intends to use her as a trump card against Alfonso. Meanwhile, back at the temple, the trio is attacked by a group of horrors, but they successfully evade them. They continue their journey, but the German encounters Bernardo. German engages in combat with Bernardo and instructs Alfonso and Leon to proceed forward. German asks Bernardo about his reasons for turning against the Mackay order, to which Bernardo responds that he wanted to fight against him. Their battle commences, and Bernardo transforms into a Mackay knight. On the other hand, Leon and Alfonso find themselves confronted by a massive number of horrors. German, however, refuses to engage in a serious fight with Bernardo until he reveals how he came to join forces with Mendoza. In response, Bernardo discloses that he was defeated by soldiers and on the verge of death. Despite his injuries, he fought back, but a soldier informed him that German and Anna had been captured by another squadron. Consumed by rage, Bernardo managed to eliminate all the soldiers, although he sustained severe wounds. It was then that he encountered Mendoza, who healed him and offered him an opportunity to reign over humanity. Bernardo had always harbored a desire to rule over the lowly humans and fight against the Mackay order, which is why he aligned himself with Mendoza. After hearing Bernardo's story, German becomes furious with his ideals and vows to defeat him, transforming into the Silver Mackay Knight. Meanwhile, Leon and Alfonso come across a horror in Mendoza's room and successfully eliminate it. They then discover a secret passage within the room and decide to follow it. The scene shifts to the intense battle between German and Bernardo, where both warriors give each other a formidable fight. Eventually, they become exhausted and revert back to their human forms. In a surprise attack, Bernardo injures the German by employing a dirty trick. However, German summons his sword and strikes down Bernardo, emerging victorious in their confrontation. Before his demise, Bernardo implores German to seek out someone stronger than anyone else to inherit the Dark Knight Mackay armor. Meanwhile, Leon and Alfonso locate Mendoza, who summons an enormous horror known as the Blood Moon, a creature feared even by the Mackay Council itself. In response, Leon and Alfonso transform into Mackay Knights, preparing to confront this formidable foe. Leon, driven by revenge for his mother, charges at Mendoza, while Alfonso engages the horror. However, due to Leon's lack of experience, Mendoza gains the upper hand and decides to show him a vision of how Anna was abused, scorned, stoned, and ultimately burned. Witnessing the agonizing death of his mother engulfed in flames, Leon loses his sanity. The vision causes his markings to resurface, and he once again loses control of the Golden Knight Garo. Leon transforms into the true form of the golden armor and unleashes a fiery rampage upon the city. Alfonso, determined to stop Leon, follows him and attempts to intervene, but Leon effortlessly throws him aside. Consumed by his own emotions, Leon starts disregarding the well-being of the people he should protect as a Mackay Knight. However, Alfonso refuses to give up and vows to halt him. Amidst the chaos, German instructs Alfonso to strike the emblem on Leon's armor. By doing so with enough force, the armor will disengage. Consequently, Alfonso transforms into a Mackay Knight and engages in a fierce battle with Leon. He pleads with Leon to put an end to the madness, and Emma intervenes to assist Alfonso. With her help, Alfonso successfully removes Leon's armor, causing him to revert to his human form. Meanwhile, the Blood Moon horror emerges in its true form and launches an attack on the city. Alfonso takes hold of Leon's sword and transforms into the Golden Knight Garo. He confronts the horror and manages to defeat it, successfully slaying the creature. Alfonso then charges towards Mendoza, but the horror resurfaces and engulfs Mendoza, swallowing him whole. Seizing the opportunity, Alfonso swiftly cuts the horror in half, putting an end to its threat. On the other hand, German informs Leon that he is no longer the Golden Knight, as the Garo armor has accepted Alfonso as its new master. Despite this, Leon pleads with Alfonso to return the Garo armor to him. However, Alfonso refuses, explaining that Leon is no longer capable of controlling the armor, which deeply devastates him. Leon, coming to terms with the fact that he can no longer be a Mackay Knight, contemplates his future as an ordinary person and embarks on an undefined path. Meanwhile, the following morning, Alfonso receives devastating news. His mother has taken her own life. The weight of this loss weighs heavily on him, adding to the turmoil he has already experienced. As for Leon, he finds himself questioning his identity and purpose without the mantle of a Mackay Knight. That's all for today. If you enjoyed our video, drop us a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content.